that. Should be topic number 2 tonight. How often have these incidents with the Dalai Lama happened in the past to be swept under the rug? He was too comfortable, meaning that this was not the first time, right? You guys probably saw this on D-Web and them the other night. Let me set this up properly. D-Web and them talked about this. That's why I first saw this story. I was just shocked by it, as was most people who were in attendance for that episode. Let's talk about the Dalai Lama. So this takes us to NBC News. Dalai Lama apologizes after video shows him asking a boy to, quote, suck my tongue. His so-called holiness wishes to apologize to the boy and his family, as well as his many friends across the world, for the hurt his words may have caused. The spiritual leader said in a statement to his 19 million Twitter followers. So this has a video. Let's check it out.
Dalai Lama has apologized after it surfaced, in which he appears to show him attempting to kiss a young boy on the lips and then asking the boy to suck his tongue. That incident took place at a public event on February 28th. Now, in Tibetan culture, sticking out one's tongue is a sign of respect or agreement, but the video, which has been making the rounds on social media, has made a lot of people really uncomfortable. A statement posted on the Dalai Lama's Twitter account reads in part, "His Holiness wishes to apologize to the boy and his family, as well as his many friends across the world, for the hurt his words may have caused." It goes on to say that he was acting in an innocent and playful way.
Tonight, the East African nation of Sudan smoldering in chaos.
So that does kind of gives the overview of it. Well, the aftermath more so. Also, Afro Native World is teaching about Maroons at that school. That's dope. That's dope. But here's the video in question.
The Dalai Lama is apologizing for this exchange with a young boy during a recent event in India. The child's face is blurred to protect his identity. According to reports, the child asked the spiritual leader for a hug. The Lama hugged the child and then allegedly asked the boy to quote, suck my tongue. The incident is sending shockwaves across the world, causing His Holiness to issue an apology to his 19 million followers on Twitter. It reads in part, His Holiness wishes to apologize to the boy and his family, as well as his many friends across the world, for the hurt his words may have caused. His Holiness often teases people he meets in an innocent and playful way, even in public and before cameras. He regrets the incident. The 87-year-old Dalai Lama is the spiritual leader of Tibet, a nation claimed by China. He's been living in exile in India since 1959 after a failed uprising against the Chinese government, which considers him to be a dangerous separatist. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Mara Matsubano.
Man is a dangerous pedo, is what he is. That video, thankfully, didn't have quite the incident in it, but if you check out Harsh Ali podcast last episode on Sunday, you'll see it. And this allegedly thing, like it's clearly the guy says, this Dalai Lama says, suck on my tongue. I don't even understand why the allegedly thing, all right? But with that said, Brother Bakari, did you see this? What are your thoughts?
Hey, look, they're going to have some on Netflix, Surviving the Dalai Lama. Shit. Ain't no telling how many young children he's had access to, right? There's no telling, because he was way too comfortable to say that like that. There's no telling what he has done to children, right? They can keep saying religious leader. They can keep saying allegedly. Everybody heard him say, suck my tongue, right? They can continue to say whatever they want to say to try to shape it one way. It's like them damn Catholic priests. Like the one lady in the Robert C. Law, the priest break a child and get off scot-free. This is the Dalai Lama. Now, wherever they say he is, and he's in exile, I don't know how that country is. And right now, with some of the stuff they trying to get passed in this country, they probably want us that, you know, because these people that run this place, they're sickos as well. So they trying to make it okay for I don't know how old that little boy was, but they trying to make it okay for 12-year-olds. Some you know, look up now the National Association of Man Boy Love. You know, they've been around forever, and now they're doing this push talking about they were born that way. So there's a lot of sickos out there. And the Dalai Lama, he been in exile for 59 years. If he was running for his life, the reason he's in exile, after 1 year, he got comfortable. So he been getting away with this where he is for 58 years. That's my take, and I get a mic.
I appreciate that, Brother Bakari. Yeah, a lot of people are commenting in the chat. Tanzania's out there. By the way, shout out to Erica Howard. She has a channel Grandma used to say. She was here earlier. Hope she's still there. You guys check on the channel as well. Yana B said a wolf in sheep's clothing. I absolutely agree with that. And a lot of these religious figures, and I know people say I like to attack religion, but a lot of these religious figures are that way, by the way. By the way, Trigger Happy 262, I just quickly reach out to me on the Discord. Let's discuss this. Gavi economics a little bit more. Side note. With that said, Buana, what say you?
I just personally think that these religious fundamentalists, some of them, not all, some of them, they need to get married. They need to get married, man. I don't know if the Dalai Lama, I don't know if they believe in marriage and things like that, but they need not to be so offended by women that they turn to these alternative perversions. You know what I mean? Because I feel like some of these men, when they've been without a woman so long, they trip out of their minds, and it leads them to all kind of ridiculousness. And they always seem to like to mess with little boys for some reason. Maybe because the boy look like a woman, you know what I mean? So I think that they really need to get a woman. You know, go get a woman, get married, and maybe these kinds of situations won't happen no more. I could even accept if the Dalai Lama have a harem of women on the side and things like that, where he's be doing things with women. Well, why little boys? Why vulnerable little boys? He is a creep, and he needs to be locked up and put away in jail. You know, I hope the Chinese government actually really puts this guy on trial. He's nothing more than a pervert, and men like him, they seem to get away with all kind of things under the guise of a religion. And what is interesting about this particular incident, it's not necessarily the Dalai Lama himself, you know. It's the people around him applauding him while this act was taking place. No one was offended by it. No one seemed to be like this kind of squeamish. You know, what's going on here? No one, even a woman was inside the room, and no protest. You know, none whatsoever. Everybody's so enamored by the fact that he's the Dalai Lama or a religious figure that they would be willing to cast away, you know, certain forms of social norms or morality and say, oh yeah, he's just playing. Hey man, ain't no 87-year-old man play like that. No 87-year-old man play like that. He's a perverted creep who needs to be locked away and put in jail. Period. And the stop. If he doesn't want to get married, he needs to go do something with himself, castrate himself, or have a, you know, take out his brain or something, put him away forever. You know what I mean? So this is when I looked at this video, this is my initial reaction, and it's still my sentiments today. So I'll stop there.
I appreciate that, Buana. Yeah, Buana was around when we first saw this story. With that said, let's go to Oni, man. How often have these incidents with the Dalai Lama happened in the past? Did he swept under the rug? He was too comfortable. What say you?
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, like, that's all he be doing, you know, and that's sad. I saw another video of him just rubbing a little girl's arm, which is, you know, at least it was a little girl, but like, that's still weird. You know what I'm saying? like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't gay, but it was fucking pedo, I guess. I mean, she looked like she was a little older. Like, this right here is, like, this was weird. You know, like, when Harsh Reality was showing it, you know, at first I saw, you know, the kid kissed him, and I was like, that's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the weirdest thing I've seen, you know, but it's kind of weird. Like, why would this kid kiss this man, you know? But I'm like, it's not really news. Then he tells the boy to suck his tongue.
God damn.
You know, like there's some shit, like, you know, like, again, I wouldn't let my son kissing somebody. It's weird, you know, but like, you can see that, like, you can see, like, let's say your aunt is like my aunt is like, hey, come give me a kiss, and then she might give the lip, and you're like, that's weird, but you know, it's not the end of the world. But suck your tongue, and you a whole damn stranger, and you a man, like none of that shit made sense. And like, for people to just sit by and watch that shit, like, nah, like, something gotta be wrong, you know? Because I could even say this, matter of fact, I was in Africa, right? Woman had Nyash. I'm on a date with her, right? I'm trying to get her to dance, okay? You know, so I actually tell the DJ, not the DJ, the restaurant, you know, we had a restaurant, and I tell them to play some music that can get her to dance. I say that, you know what I'm saying? Finally, they put on some tunes. She finally get up to dance, you know, and I see my son, and my son's like, let me get up and dance too, right? No, I tell my son to go dance. Then, you know, she's kind of shaking her booty, and she's kind of shaking it a little too close to my kid, and I'm like, hold up a second, like I'm fighting the urge to be like, what the fuck, you know? She didn't touch him or anything, and she didn't really dance on him, but I was just like so disgusted on that, and that's like perfectly heterosexual, and she had Nyash, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world, but I was still like, I would intervene, and it's not even that serious. Licking your tongue, and nobody said, hold up a second, man, there's something fucking wrong with you. Nah, that whole culture is like, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? Like, that whole culture, if a man can just, all in broad daylight, in front of a group of people, like, it's not like this was like a little boy. Like, even the Catholic priests, they be like, you know, they doing this shit on the low. You know what I'm saying? like, you know, they had quiet practice, and they tell the boy, you know, come into this back room or some shit. Like, they're not doing it in front of the congregation. This man's not only in front of the congregation, he's in broad damn daylight on camera. And the thing is, he got away with it. Yeah. Because this shit is from February.
Not a word of protest. Not a word of protest.
This thing was in February. So there was a whole damn 2 months, right? There was a whole damn 2 months of quiet, of silence. He's been doing this shit. Because, like, if you could do that in the open, like, you know, you doing stuff in the, because the Catholic priests doing some weird shit behind closed doors, you know. And that's why, at least, I got to give Africa some props. Some people from Africa were talking about their Catholic priests be introducing some, you know, like some sisters coming in at night, you know what I'm saying? You know, or some sisters coming in with Nyash, they saying, right? Like, I get a props. You get some sisters, you know, I get that. You know, and even the black church in the South, we all know they messing with some of the sisters there, right? But like, you not only messing with a little boy, you doing that in broad daylight, no consequences. Yeah, this man, like, this whole religion, like, all of it just gotta go. You know, of course, now look, I'm not a person who talks, like, obviously everybody has their freedom to their imagination, right? But this is why I don't fuck with it. You know, this is why I don't fuck with it. You tell me, like, that's one of the hardest things about trying to find a woman right now, is that everybody got that religion. Everybody got that imagination, right? If your imagination got the quote unquote holy man doing some fuck shit, right? I don't want to deal with you. And this right here is some serious fuck shit. Because you already telling me that if my son, that you would leave my son alone with a quote unquote holy man. And then I'm gonna have to, you know, make him filled with holes. You know what I'm saying? I'll make him real holy man. Like, just go to this. But I
trigger happy.
Hey, I gotta become trigger happy plus. You know what I'm saying?
Trigger happy put in the chat. We're not trigger put the Pope versus Dalai Lama. The Pope versus Dalai Lama. versus Gandhi. All them damn religious spiritual leaders. The Pope versus Dalai Lama versus Gandhi. Because
In a boxing match?
Versus Elijah Muhammad.
Elijah Muhammad? Yeah, Elijah Muhammad will whip their ass, right?
Ain't no boxing match against you. You're going to box to see who can get to the little chilling first.
Well, see, Elijah Muhammad, no, yeah, you're right. Elijah Muhammad was getting after them children. But I don't think he got no boys, man. I think he was
teenage girls, yeah.
Yeah, definitely teenage girls, but I don't think he got boys, man. I don't know what's with people and they young women, man. Like, leave those little girls alone. You know what I'm saying? Especially leave the little boys alone. Come on.
Is that a cultural? Is that a holdover from who they were? You know, because you read about Rome and you know these Europeans sleeping with men and the soldiers being raped by the generals and all this kind of. Is that a holdover from that in their religion, or does the religion predicate that kind of behavior?
Well, you know, I want to say this. Matter of fact, I think somebody else pointed out, and Bonner said it too, right? A lot of these motherfuckers are sexually repressed. Like you should not. That's what I'm saying. Like we I don't know where we got this confused idea that you shouldn't have sex. That's why I say about because like I said, some dude put some freaking podcast. You know who he is. You got whatever. Anyway, but put some freaking podcast talking about hypersexuality and shit. And it's like, look, having sex is healthy. You know, having that orgasm is healthy. You know how many times you see a motherfucker just saying random ass motherfucking shit and come to find out he ain't getting none in a minute. You know what I'm saying? like he was a involuntary celibate. And look, when I go through my dry spells, I'm a little more angry too. Like the reality is this, that your body, your hormones are regulated by your sexual activity on top of other things. You know what I'm saying? And if your hormones are out of whack, right? You're going to be out of whack. You know, you are a psychosocial individual. You are a chemical being. Your conversation is chemistry. You know, a lot of the times when you hear a bitter black woman, she ain't been getting good D. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times if you listen to a woman, right, and she's like, man, you know, she's going to tell you, you know, the reason why I don't mess with guys because, you know, I'm not guaranteed to have an orgasm when I have sex. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know? And I'm not saying that I'm hitting home runs every damn second, right? Nobody bats 1,000. But I mean, shit, 999. I'm just walking with you.
Hey, you know what is annoying to me, Oni? What is annoying is when grown-ass women talking about the celibate. Like they bragging about being celibate. That's so annoying to me. Sex is a biological function. You know what I mean?
A necessity.
It's a biological function. And you bragging about, I've been celibate for years. I'm like, you are crazy as cat shit. You know what I mean? You don't want to talk to these kind of chicks, man.
And they always crazy. Like you know, because it's like, I tell you, man. Like you never, like if you find, like there's two ways to know if, there's two ways to know if a woman's miserable, right? No, when a woman's miserable, there's two things you could guarantee. Either she is celibate, right? Either she ain't getting no dick in a minute, or like involuntary celibate, or she's fat. You know what I'm saying? Like one of those two things mess with your chemistry. They mess with your chemistry. And when your chemistry is messed up, you just as a human being, you are fucked up. You know what I mean? Like if I was producing way too much estrogen, you will hear me saying some soft shit. You know? Can't even help it. You see me crying at the end of a damn movie or some shit. You know what I mean? Like you will see this.
Crying watching Spider-Man. Yeah, go ahead.
Exactly, watching Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? Just start crying. You know, like, man, he's wearing red tights. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck are you talking about? You know, exactly. And I'll tell you, man, because I'll tell you, man, a lot of times, a lot of motherfuckers, like a lot of those guys in FBA, I'm telling you the truth. I know at least two cats in FBA. Both of them don't be getting pumped. One of these guys went batshit crazy on me. Like he became one of the most hateful people I've come across. Dude's like a 30-year-old virgin, literally. And I just keep telling him, bro, what you need to do is get laid. You need to get laid. Instead of that, he's like, yo, death to the Africans type shit. And you're like, what the fuck, man? just get laid. Like, just get laid. Like, no, this dude's wild. Like, his grandparent is Jamaican, and he's just like, "Fuck you, Jamaicans," and all that. And I'm like, my guy, you are what they call a tether. Like, what are you fucking talking about? He's fucking incel. Like, yo, and realistic. I'm telling you the truth. No, I'm telling you right there. There's an internet movement called the incels. They were the most hateful group on Reddit. On Reddit, to the point where Reddit's a website where you can watch people die. Like, there's literally a subreddit where you can watch people die. Reddit said, "Hey, look, these incels are too negative for our website." They said these, like, you could watch people get murdered. You can watch a little girl jump from a building and commit suicide. And they said, no, these involuntarily celibate guys are worse than like the worst things that we have. You know, it's like you should be having sex. And the fact that this guy, like, these spiritual quote unquote people are like, "Oh, I'm not having sex." Like, yeah, that's why you're fucking boys. Like, literally.
Oni, you say they involuntarily celibate. What is involuntarily celibate? You pay for it. Pay for it. If you in America, pay for it, man. What are you talking about? You involuntarily. That's some bullshit, dog.
Exactly. Like, they don't get it. It's like, damn, son, you got all this fucking money. Just get her. They're like, I can't go. And the Chads are taking our women. Like, yeah, we're taking your women because you're not. Because look at you. Yeah, look at you. Look at me. Now looking back at you.
Funny stuff. In the chat, Trick Happy 262 says, "Yeah, puritanical culture is the direct reason for extreme promiscuity that Europeans do. I think African people have the balance. Sex is part of the human condition." Shout out to Marcus Garvey is the way. She's out there in the chat. Nama X says it's not repressed. It's not being repressed. It's just their nature. Nama X says going after little humans is the nature of the cave people. Has nothing to do with repression, he says. Forecast Radio said, "What's up, Forecast?"
Let me just. I think we kind of skipped over Kennedy's comment about how the CIA is funding them. You know, we don't say it enough, but America is funding this motherfucker. And this is the trouble with America, is that anything, like they you know, it's like, I guess Lyndon B. Johnson, no, not Lyndon B. Johnson, maybe Lyndon B. Johnson or Franklin Delano Roosevelt. One of them said, you know, sure, they're sons of bitches, but there are sons of bitches. This guy has, like, America has them in their pocket. And because of that, he can get away with this type of fuck shit. Like, some people were saying that if you look at how their government is formed, like, the people on the bottom are just suffering extreme, right? And he's living lavishly. And on top of all that, he's able to like do this shit to the children. And it's not just him. You see, because the thing is this: if it's like if you in a room, right, and nobody's outraged at what you're doing, it's because they're doing it too. Now, I'm not going to say absolutely that they're doing it too. I can't, you know, that's libel, right? I don't have evidence. But the reality is this: like I said, if I'm being like, yo, wait a second, you can't do that shit, right? Over on something that's totally normal, right? That's not normal, but, you know, just like I'm just like out of my element, just something out of my element, right? These people, they didn't even flinch. They're laughing, they're giggling. They are fucking, I'm not going to say they're fucking boys. I'll say allegedly they are fucking boys. You know what I'm saying? like allegedly they are a bunch of boy fuckers. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, you know something, right? Like, so we can talk about them and talk about that, but now let's talk about like our community. When I was in the military, I'm gonna be honest, you know how many people I knew was happy to go to Germany? One, because they love white women. Two, and this shit was it was legal for, once they turned 13 in Germany, it was 13 or 14. In Germany, they could go to the bar and drink and do all that. And you know how many grown motherfuckers I knew I'm talking about in their 30s, been in the military 15 down to 20 years, talking about they can't wait to go to Germany to mess with some of those little young girls where illegal is. Now think about you around these MNFs, right? Now just think about it's legal in Germany. So just imagine, and it would be a group of them get together and get mad with me when I'm like, dude, goddamn man, you got kids older than 14. Oh man, them girls, man, they know what they're doing. Like it would be a group of black men upset with me. Cause I'm saying, dude, that child is 14. And the point is, and I know when they going to Germany, they messing with them little white girls. But in the United States, and they're around black people, they probably messing with little black girls. And so many adults was agreeing with that shit and was getting upset with me, dude. Before I ever had a daughter, I had problems with that. I don't know. You know, times changed. Because my grandmama, right? I told you I got had old parents, had older parents. My granddad born right after Reconstruction, right? My grandmama too. Well, don't know when they were born. Actually, they didn't, but my granddaddy between 1880 1885. This is on my mama's side. But my granddaddy was 28 when he married my grandmama that was 13 years old. They got married, had like 12, 13 kids together. But to me, in today's time, that's absolutely crazy. Why you going out looking, you 30-something, you married, you have children. You have children older than the little girls, 13, 14, that you're trying to get with. And these folks, they sitting there agreeing with it. So I watch my daughter. People say, man, sometimes people say I'm overprotective. I'm like, oh, well, I just be overprotected. Shit. But, that, yeah, I get it, Mike.
Bakari, do you think that's black people mirroring white folks, or do you think there's something in us that has us doing that thing?
I think that's black people mirroring white folk. And when I talk about my grandparents, because of the time that they were raised and the time that they was born, I'm just being honest. Like sharecropping, this is just what I believe. When I first said it, it was like joking, everybody laughed, but I wasn't joking really. But I do believe that they went to Africa Town in Mobile, Alabama, got a young girl because my granddad didn't have no kids, and brought her here so they could breed and have kids to work on the farm because of the time that they were born in. But I think that's us mimicking white folks. Think about it. During our enslavement, that would have been regular, right? Because they were making us do it. Then when you come out of that and you see these white people as your platinum standard, they surpassed the gold. For the people that don't know, they have surpassed the gold standard for black people. You see them as your platinum standard, so you will start to do the things you see them do. And you act white, you better. Anything that they did is better. And still today in 2023, yes, they're marrying 12-year-olds. They're trying to pass the law to marry 12 years old. And to marry 12-year-old in Missouri, man, we need to be shooting that down. Like I said, that's why I said study NAMBLA, National Association of Man Boy Love. Look at the age they want. Their organization been around since like the late 50s, early 60s. I'm quite sure y'all heard of it. But these are grown men who want to be able to sleep with little boys starting at age 10. I think it was like, I forget how many people was on the board, and I think there may have been 2 black men on the board and like 5 white men that's on that board. You can look it up and you can see. But yeah, we have took on the ways of the enslaver, of the oppressor. Norman say that was the 1800s. It was about survival. Yeah, that's why I was saying it was a little different then. But I'm saying in today's age, in today, that's crazy. And they done put R. Kelly in jail, and now they got Surviving Him Part 2. But now you want to make it. So how you going to keep somebody in jail and you fighting for what y'all claim he did that was so wrong. You fighting to make it legal. And that's not me caping for R. Kelly. That's me just talking about the BS that they're doing. I'm 51, man, and I wouldn't even right now, I wouldn't even mess with a 25-year-old, man. I have a daughter. My stepdaughter be 30 years old this year. I wouldn't mess with no lady 25 years old, and they know it. They come on for some reason they like me, and they know it because I tell them all the time, you're way too young. Find somebody your age and build something with him because there's nothing me and you can do together. Because I ain't making no more babies. I done made mine, but that's me. So I give the mic.
Yeah, I ain't gonna hold you. Before ADOS became a thing, I used to identify as a northerner. You know what I mean? And I would make fun of the South. Like, I would say, I don't know, they got like pedophilia and incest in the South. I was like, nope, I ain't messing with that place. I'm a Yankee over here, you know? Well, that's back in the day. Now I can't claim Yankee. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna say you a fucking immigrant. But I also wanna say that yeah, I mean, I don't know what the origin, but I could say that the Abrahamic religions, like especially Islam, has old ass. I think it was Muhammad himself who married like a 12-year-old girl. I think her name was Aisha or some shit. But like,
9, right?
you said what? Oh yeah, he married her at 9, and he like slept with her when she was 12 or something like that. So like that's like in Islam, like you already have that. Now I'm not saying that the Christianity and Judaism don't have young ages. I don't know. I think they do. I don't know. But at least in that book, it's like this is like a prophet. You know what I mean? Like this is a prophet. It's not even like Dalai Lama. I think Dalai Lama is considered a prophet too, right? But like it's like that. Pretty much their Dalai Lama was like, yeah, I'm gonna sleep with a 9-year-old. What about it? I'm gonna marry a 9-year-old. What about it? So like that's already there. But like as far as like, yeah, the South used to do that shit. And that's what I'm saying. Like incest and pedophilia was like back in the day, we knew that was big in the South, And like not just that. I remember I had this sister. I was dating this woman from Texas, beautiful woman, right? I mean, she thought she was beautiful. She was all right. But anyway, then this one from Texas, and she was saying that like some of her relatives were like straight up rapists in their own family, like incestuous rapists. And the family like protected him. You know what I'm saying? Like they knew he was raping the other like the nieces and shit. And they were like, don't tell anybody. Why are you lying on him? Well, like the grandmother, like his mother would be like, why are you lying on him? He's this thing. And he was going in and out of prison. And she said she stopped messing with her family when she found out that the victims were writing him in prison. She's like, why would you write this man who assaulted you? And then when he got out of prison, he would rape another person. He'd go back, and then again, until at one point he was dating this woman, and he raped her daughter, and then she shot him. You know what I'm saying? And I think he went back to prison with a bullet and some shit. But it's just like, a lot of like there's a lot of sickness, going on. So and obviously, I'm just capping. I mean, obviously, it's not just the South. It happens in the North. It happens, happens all over. It happens all over the world, not just in America, obviously. But like that's just like one of the unfortunate things about the human condition that we find ourselves in. But it's kind of like what this brother was saying about how how the Asians do this shit, and it's not to say that we don't do this weird shit, but the Asians, but like there's a difference between our condition and their condition, and I'm not trying to make an excuse for it. I'm just saying that like with regard to us, we are in a bad position, and it's not an excuse, because obviously people are suffering from our decisions. But like these people, like this is not a poor person. Dalai Lama is not a poor person making poor decisions. This is a rich person, and this is what he decides is to do with his wealth. Narma says no more blanket condition is not a human condition. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's not. I'm just acknowledging that people really go through shit. You know what I mean? Like we could say that white people are a bunch of rapists, but we can't necessarily say that black people are not raping black people. You know what I mean? We know black people are doing that, but a lot of us are doing it from poverty. But it doesn't change. Whatever your excuse is for doing something, it doesn't change. If somebody robs me on the street, sure, they robbed me because they broke, right? But that doesn't change the fact that I got robbed. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I do want to just put some context, not to excuse it, but just put some context to it.
And I appreciate that.
It's a lot of it has something to do with the religion that has been accepted as well. Religion, like when he mentioned Islam, you can go through the Bible, and what do the Bible say? When they tell the people to rob, murder, steal, and kill, you can go and find several verses. They kill everybody, kill all the men, kill all the baby boys, kill all the women that is not a virgin, but ones that's virgin, keep them to do with them as you will. Now, how young do you think this person is that is probably still a virgin, that's allegedly being told by God to keep those virgin women and do with them, to keep those virgin girls and do with them as you will? You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of it is the religion that has been accepted, and that has been accepted worldwide, the Abrahamic faiths. So once you, like I said, once you accept everything that other people teach and you get away from who you are, we began to do, a lot of us began to do those things, So we can say it's white people nature, and let's say it's white people nature. If it's white people nature today, white people nature, and we have to be honest with this, white people nature has become a lot of black people nature has become to mimic white people nature. And that's just a fact. Not all black people, but a lot of black people, we just mimic what the people in power do. It's the oppressed mimicking the oppressor, because whatever the oppressor has done, you see as powerful, and you want power. So you begin, we mimic everything except trying to take power, but we mimic it. And like I said, and like Only said, when he mentioned Islam, and like when I talked about it, you can go through and read the Bible verses, and that's what it says, So that's my take on it. I'm gonna yield the mic. Hey, look, in about 15 minutes, I'm gonna have to get off, and I'm gonna try to get back on. All right.
I appreciate that, Bakari. Buana, I don't know if you've been seeing Erzuliism's comments. Shout out to Erzuliism. Shout out to Mamie. Shout out to Nama X, Yana B, anyone else who joined recently. Shout out to you guys. Thanks for joining. But this thing that Erzulius is posting about the age of consent in Africa is 14 and 13. Do you think there's any parallels there with what the Dalai Lama and his type of folks are doing?
No, Azuli is not wrong with what he is saying. Azuli is right and exact, because he probably Googling the shit. But Azuli is right and exact. And I have a different view from Brother Bakari when he says that, it's a European thing. Because I have seen very old men marrying very young girls in Africa. And I don't agree with that. I think that that's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, not because they're African, I must agree with that, or continental African. No, I think that some of the traditions that we hold to, pre-colonial Africa, I would dispel with. I would do away with them. And no one can tell me, oh, this is a traditional thing. Nah, man, I can't do that. You can't convince me to go bed off with some young 15, 14-year-old, 13-year-old girl. Come on, man. Come on, pops. Oh, it's because we need to do the seed and we need to have more children. No, brother. You passed that time. Leave that for the young boys. And the young boys shouldn't be sleeping with them young girls either, to be honest with you. I think that there should be some protocols in place where you have to really be at an age of responsibility. And when I say responsibility, I talk about self-responsibility. Self-responsibility. If you can't take care of yourself, you have no right to bed down some woman who you could possibly get pregnant, and then she'll have to be on her own, having to take care of her. Then she end up on what's it called? Punishment Island. She end up on Punishment Island. That's what they put on Punishment Island. No, you start at a time where you, first of all, you have to have the ability to take care of yourself, and then you have the ability to show. You have to show the ability to take care of others. You have to prove that. And when you are able to prove that, then we could talk about the act of consent and sex and all these kinds of things. These things come into play. But I believe that women should have a time where they should develop as well. And 13 and 12, it's not to suggest that 13-year-olds don't have a level of maturity. Because what I say in the West is we infantilize our children so much so that you have 40-year-olds living in a house with their mother. You know what I mean? Whereas in Africa, they don't have this whole idea of infantilizing young people so long. Their time of infantilization, it starts early and it ends early as well. You become responsible at a certain age. You take on the responsibilities of a man at a certain age. So therefore, if you have the responsibilities, you should also have the privileges as well. I believe she should have the privileges as well. But you have to prove yourself. You have to prove yourself. But let me also say, because he said the age of consent in the Bahamas is 16. These are all European laws that we have kept on the books and we have not removed or updated. That's why the age is still 16. You know what I mean? Because we got that during the colonial times, these laws, and we continue it, and we should have gotten rid of it. You know what I mean? But I believe that you should prove. I don't know how I'm contradictory, but anyway, I'll leave that with Mama X. I just think that you need to prove yourself as a responsible human being and having the ability to take care of yourself and others, and then you can continue from there and have these kinds of discussions. I don't think that you should bet off the young girls at 13 and 14. I think that that's really too young. So I would really dismiss with that, and I would throw it out of the window. I wouldn't continue that tradition.
Check this out. I want to say this, matter of fact. There's this TikTok video going around, right? I decided not to even retweet it. This dude is stopping little boys, right? And he's like, hey, would you sleep with your mother for $1 million, right? Now, granted, $1 million is a lot, but still, the boys are like, yeah. Now, one of them was a black boy. The other one was like, I don't know, maybe a Latino. And they're both like, yeah. And then the boy asked them, these are little boys, like maybe like 13 or some shit, right? It's a grown-ass man asking them. And he's like, what position would you do? And the boys are describing a sex position, doggy style or some shit. But it's like, it's gross because I don't know if y'all were paying attention. A lot of these mothers are looking at their boys. You know what I mean? A lot of these mothers are looking at these boys, right? And for these boys, and I don't know if these boys are looking at their mothers, but it's a possibility. There is a lot going wrong these days. There's a lot going wrong these days. And for like a grown man to be asking, like it's like one of them pranks, or not pranks, but like one of them interviews on the street, TikTok content creator type stuff, right? For that to be a subject for content creation, like it's a wrap. Like the condition, like what's going on with our people, it's really like just deteriorating badly, And unfortunately, like the pushback is not that strong. The pushback is not that strong. Chances are you're gonna have people in open relationships with their parents, or like public relationships with their parents, and that's like a thing. Like I remember, matter of fact, I told y'all about that Texas woman, right? So I used to make fun of her. I'm like, yeah, the South, man, y'all be messing with your family. Y'all do incest and some shit. So at some point, she's like, no, that's a generalization. That's just, blah, 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 blah. And then at some point, she's like, hey, I should show you my cousin, right? And she shows me a picture of her cousin. And she's like, oh, and then she's like, that's my cousin and my other cousin, they're married. So she has cousins who are married. And when I was younger, we would like we heard, okay, third cousin's okay, right? We heard third, fourth cousin is okay, right? These were not third, fourth cousins. Like, these were just damn cousins. See, Zuli's asking, what about third cousins? See what I'm saying? Like, we heard that when we was kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, we heard, okay, well, I mean, if you're third cousins, it's okay. Which is a weird thing for you, everybody to know, but still, it's like, okay, we get it. These are not third cousins. These were just damn cousins. Not even like unrelated cousins, like straight up related cousins. And like, that's a thing, and like, even like, for instance, I could say, I remember I had a nice looking cousin, I guess, right? And I had an uncle who was really, he was not really that related. But even him looking at my cousin, like my cousin on my mother's side, he was my uncle on my father's side, even that was a little too much. We were like, ew, right? Like, that's gross, you know what I'm saying? Right? They're not even related. The fact that cousins could get, like, real cousins could get married. And it's not like recently. This is like 5-10 years ago type thing, right? Like, not like since, COVID done fucked up your mindset. This is like 5-10 years ago. Like, yeah, there's some shit. Like, if that's okay, and we already know there's like videos of mothers like twerking for their kids and all that type of shit, or like saying, look, my son's so handsome, I would eat him up type shit. Like, this shit is about to become normal, and I'm telling you, I think I know Bakari don't agree with this, but I think if China does clear out America, like, he'll be doing us a favor. Because these motherfuckers, I don't know, these motherfuckers is wild. I was just saying, if it comes to that everything is nuclear ash, it's a damn favor. I'm just saying that.
Hey, by the way, I noticed I noticed how Zuli was selling his little subtle jobs. I mean, he mentioned all African hey, Koku, you notice how he mentioned all African countries. And then he mentioned in the Bahamas, like, how we use a bunch of 5-star degenerates.
Yeah,
but his Google fingers, I see him going to Google Haiti yet. I see the number for Haiti yet. But it's all good. It's all good. I'll accept it. We can play. You can come on tonight, brother. I got your number.
He always after black folk, though. You notice that, though, right?
Yeah.
He did not name a single Asian country, not a single European country. Always trying to get at the black folk.
God damn.
He's gonna be like, 25 is the age of consent in Switzerland, like some shit like that.
Hey, Bawana, he ain't gonna come up here. I'm up here.
He heard you leave in 10 minutes. He heard that. He about to show up in 10 damn minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He ain't gonna come
after Bakari leaves. Go ahead.
No, that was it, man. Ain't nothing else on that topic right there for me to say. I got a couple more minutes. That's it.
All right, let's go to.
Hey, where Kiwi is? Where Kiwi is, brother Bakari? Where Kiwi?
I got to go pick him up from work, man.
Okay.
Man.
The same thing every week, man. How you don't know that?
Yeah, I'm looking for him another car, man. I ain't trying to spend a lot of money. But it seems like I'm gonna have to go spend a lot of money. I want to get a little $2,000 car.
Right.
Nah, you gotta make him look fresh.
Nah.
You got to make him look fresh. Oh no, actually no, he right. He a socialist. Let him get that $1,500. Get him a bike. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna tell him that too.
Let's go to Should Breeze topic number 3. That was a good conversation by everyone on the panel, in the chat. I appreciate that. Should Breeze topic.